Well, hello. It is Tuesday, March the 15th, 2022. My name is Darren Babin. And of course, I am joined by my co host, Brasco on the radio. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. The microphone looks invisible.
I was wondering
Invisible
about
microphone.
that. I
I don't
was
know how I
like,
do that. But like,
got some weird shadowy thing going on.
if you saw what the setup looks like in here, you'd slap me across the face for the way it looks. I'm very practical like that.
Well, we're gonna have to work on your lighting there a little bit. You got some crazy little tears going on your
I
chroma key,
know.
but we'll fix that.
Don't
That's the
always find
former
the
director in me coming out.
This is true. Yeah.
It's true. So we've got all kinds of interesting things to chit chat about today. Uh, First, before we get too far into it, I guess we're fresh off a show. I wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about this event. Um, Interesting event. To whoever sold the show, I suppose good for you. I think they did a great job selling the show. I did feel bad for the vendors. There were a heck of a lot of vendors. This was the Alternative Products Expo, um, newly named. It used to be the USA CBD Expo. Long history, backstory there. However, this newly branded show, APE, Alternative Products Expo, mind you, lots of vendors, no foot traffic. I felt really, really bad
Oh,
for all these vendors. I didn't speak with one vendor that was happy about being at the show because there was no business there for them seemingly.
yeah.
I enjoyed the show personally. Um, I think Brandy did just because for us it was a little bit of an extension beyond the typical cannabis events that are there, uh, and there was a lot of exposure to the Delta 8 companies, the Delta 10 companies, um, the companies that are blending a synthetic cannabinoid with Delta 8 and Delta 10. They're trying to come up with some interesting, little products. Here a bunch of them, and all of these were to basically address, the fact that these vape companies really were trying to get poised to get into the licensed THC market, but since that is a bit of a delay for these guys, they're getting into the alternative cannabinoids, and I got to tell you, I very, very surprised. All the branding looks amazing. They're doing an amazing job, and some of
They
these
want to have
products.
an integrity. They want to have a. They've seen what some companies have done, especially when it comes to the CBD launch, and all the products have been brought to various stores. There's something that people don't want to be synonymous with certain looks of products that look deceptive.
Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna give these guys a plug. All right, not your son's weed. All right, so they had a chocolate bar that they made that was a Delta 8 chocolate bar, and we had some of this chocolate bar last night. It was, I think, around 7 o'clock. By 7:30, I've got a picture of Brandy. She looked like she was like I had to touch her a couple times because I wanted to make sure she was still breathing. I mean, and then shortly thereafter, I'm on the couch. I'm like, So by 9:30, we were in the bed, drooling. Not your son's weed. And so interesting brands at this event. I'd say there are probably 300 booths, a lot of vendors, not very happy vendors. I had a great time. I thought it was an awesome show. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
I didn't go to any of the education, but I met a lot of people, lot of people that really have their branding together. I thought
Wow.
some really interesting products.
Can I share with you a product that I learned about this
Please,
past week?
please.
Okay, I'm going to show it to you on the screen real quick because this was I really was amazed when I saw this, but yeah, this was fun. So take a look. Click on the screen. Mike Tyson's 2.0. I talked about how they have we had the founders of Tyson 2.0. So Mike Tyson's not afraid of being, of kind of being humble of his past. You remember the boxing match he had with Evander Holyfield where he bit his
Of
ear
course.
off? Well,
Shut
now he has
up.
created gummies in the shape of ears called Mike's Bites.
No shame.
And there it is right there.
Got
So
no
yeah,
shame.
no, it's amazing he does that. It's like I'm really happy he feels that he can do that now. Like, that's pretty funny. That's pretty damn funny.
Well, yeah, sure, wasn't your ear getting bit, but sure.
Well, because when you think about his career and you think what he's done, it's like, you remember that. And that was like a time where like everything was very controversial. Like, he had the Robin Givens divorce, he had, rape allegations, he had a lot of things that happened to him. I
Yeah,
don't like to go and dig up the past history, but it's out there. And he's, respecting the fact that something like this happened to him. He was a part of a moment that everybody's going to remember. They're all going to talk about. And so, like, yeah, poke fun back at it.
yeah,
There you go. I like it.
of course you
So
do.
there's news, and then there's something I got to talk to you about when it comes to the other thing you did this weekend besides going to that expo.
Well, okay. Let's come back to that at the end,
Right. Well, I'm just
right?
teasing the audience here. We
Tease
got a
the
half hour.
audience
So.
because that was a very interesting ketamine, very interesting journey. We'll come back to this.
Right. Right. So here's the thing. Now, a couple of stories from MJ Biz Daily at put out some some good op-eds that really do kind of talk about what's going on today that I always like to talk about on the Blunt Business Program or on Grassroots Marketing, which I host.
Mhm.
So one is about the David versus Goliath battle in the U.S. marijuana industry, and they mentioned of how there are a number of cannabis business officials and advocates characterizing the cannabis industry now as figurative warfare, pitting large companies seeking to dominate the market against smaller entrepreneurs and operators wanting a foot in the door. And they relay a lot of different stories of all that going on. We have multi-state operators in Arizona, Illinois, trying to take control of social equity licenses, blocking efforts to boost permissible canopy size for craft growers. You know, New York having to deal with licensees for medical marijuana to outlaw home cultivation. There's in various states they've had this kind of thing where, even with when it comes to Florida, you know, to avoid companies to have dispensaries out there of adult use, we'd have competing petitions to get adult use of recreational marijuana on the ballot. And that's because one petition is being run by corporations or multi-state operators. The other ones are supported by those that are in social equity or craft cannabis or smaller mom and pop companies.
Right, one favoring home grow, one not. I think once the larger MSOs realize that home grow really isn't a threat, you know what I mean? Like, really it's for guys and gals that want to try their hand at it, realize ultimately that it's easier to just go down to the dispensary and pick some up, pick up some carts.
Right,
It
right.
really is. But if you want to try your hand out, you want to try it. That's it, right? There are some patients, mind you, that you know they they require a lot more physical flour and or the fan leaves, right, so that they can juice the product. it just really depends. And so I think when you boil right down to it, if folks can't get on the same page, then education around one of those has to be strong enough to be able to overcome the natural division that comes from having multiple initiatives on the same ballot.
Yeah. Now, the
Sucks.
other story they brought up that was very interesting was California. When you have all the issues with the taxes that are going on there, and the smaller growers also getting hurt by what's going on, one thing that would be helpful is that they were to go ahead and move product across state lines. So they talk about a story where a state senator in California introduced a bill that would establish a framework for permitting the export of marijuana and marijuana related products into legal states, interstate commerce. You want to bring money in, you want to help these companies out with supply and demand. This, I've talked about it. And look, maybe they listen to Blunt Business and they said, oh, you know what? Brask on the radio is right. Okay. So they would also make it where it will allow the import into California. So in and out. And they're asking about, is it the right time for California to open its borders? So the writer here says, she was of the opinion that no one should invite others over for dinner when the house is on fire. But make no mistake, the California cannabis industry is in a flame and not in a good way. So she's saying this is being done because of desperation.
Well, I mean, sure. I think there's a number of different reasons, right? Like,
Yeah.
there as it is, there are crops and product from California that finds its way across borders. I have found California product here in Florida. I have
Yeah.
found California product in Arizona. I have found California product in Texas. I have found California product in New York, in Manhattan.
Right.
And it's baffling to think that this is not something we need to get our hands around now, so like we could put some structure to it, right? And everybody benefit from it. Our state, federal and state governments as well. I just, to me, at some point in time, like we have to shift gears. But again, this is a prime example of seeing a singular state's product find its way all over the country.
Yep. But think about it. You can do this because you have neighboring states. When I look at the map of California, Nevada, Oregon, Arizona, and you go up to Washington State, they're all attached to each other. You can then go ahead and have all those states work together like a West Coast corridor, a region, and they could all share with each other. So not only should this bill go ahead and go forward, they should also have it where the other states pass similar legal legislation.
Well, I mean, again, that
A
that
perfect role
that
model for the full rollout. You want to
that
get
push
the federal government to follow
right,
along. Great
right.
idea.
That pushes the larger subject at hand. Correct.
I mean, you already see this. I mean, and if you need to follow any kind of examples, go with Canada and what they do over there with provincial interstate commerce there. But, the fact that you still have companies that might be, you know, pushing cash along. We talked about that a few weeks ago and getting, pulled over for it or stopping the illicit market where you see California products in other states. This would solve the problem. A
Yeah.
lot of it.
Yeah.
So they got to figure that out. Anyway, that's the news I had. Now let's talk to you about you, Darren. This weekend, you and I mentioned this last week that I spoke with Charles Patty, who's the
Yeah.
brand ambassador for My Self Wellness in Bonita Springs, Florida. It's a center for ketamine therapy.
It's a
Clinic.
thing. Whew. It's a
And
thing.
you made the trip across Alligator Alley, I'm guessing. You
Yep.
got up there. And like I told you on the phone when you were talking about this, you were showing me the place. It looks great. It's
Oh, it's
comfortable,
beautiful.
it's relaxing.
It's
But I
beautiful.
was thinking, what this is gonna be like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall. It's like
I mean, it wasn't like that, but it had such a beautiful energy about the place, such
mhm.
a beautiful vibe. Um, I mean, the energy was really palpable when when you walked in. Everybody, the staff was so friendly and welcoming. It was just such a warm and inviting experience, really. And for anyone who's never done it, I think it's hard to describe. Um, so Brandy and I met Charles Patty and his partner Christina at Canadelic, and in having some long conversations with them about what their goal is there, and what ketamine therapy can do for folks. It is hard to wrap your head around it unless you've done it. And so Brandy and I, we got in the car and we decided we're going to go do this. We drove across the alley, and let's preface this by saying there are things in our daily life that we build up protections for ourselves based on things that happen to us that maybe we feel like we need to protect ourselves from in the future, right? Personal traumas of some sort, depression, anxiety, PTSD, addictions, be it drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, you name it. And so imagine, if you will, a therapeutic, a clinical therapeutic setting that when you come out on the other side of this, those blocks, those builds that you put into place, the drug itself, ketamine, circumvents those blocks, lets the brain think that that they're still there, but they've been circumvented in essence. And so it allows you to go in, put this circumvention in place, if you will, of your own protections, your own blocks that you've built. And when you come out on the other side, it allows you to feel and experience what it is like to go through a day without having the need to lean on those constructs that you've built for yourself. You don't need it.
So, talk to me about the prep and procedure you got before you were administered the treatment.
So it was interesting. As far as the prep goes, we had to drive across Alligator Alley, that's a couple hours to get
East to West Florida, yes.
Yeah, from East Coast to West Coast of Florida, yeah. And so morning of, no eating or drinking liquid. If you need to take pills, you take your morning pills with some water, and that's it.
It's like a 12-hour fast,
if you will, from the night before. Yeah,
like if you were going to have your blood checked, that would be kind of like the same kind of thing.
Sure. Look, the idea is, the reason why is because it's not because the medicine makes you nauseous. It's after you come out of it. I would describe coming out of it, and you go into it, you put a blanket on you, you're in a recliner, reclined all the way back, you've got an eye mask on, and you put headphones on that are noise canceling, right? And so the medicine doesn't make you nauseous at all. It's afterwards. It made me feel like I was on a pair of roller skates on the deck of an ocean liner in 20-foot swells.
Now, right? When you did that, we always think of movies that kind of show you where you're kind of like out of body experience. I think of like Matrix or Inception. Did you kind of feel like you were in that
It
as you were in
was
it? Could you remember anything in between as it was going on?
so yes, it was for me strange because they say that ketamine is a disassociative. I absolutely had that sensation of uh, disassociating from a reality that I was aware of in that particular moment.
Right.
And everything was kind of plastic that was bending and altering. And what was known was that in that moment, my understanding and perception of the world around me wasn't real. And what I was perceiving was an alternate reality, but I had no perception of what it was.
It felt like
It
it
wasn't
was a very
clear.
vivid dream.
No, well, there wasn't anything vivid about it. That's the thing, is it was kind of blurry, and
Oh,
it was, but it was palpable, and knowing that this was different. It wasn't my normal reality. It was like, uh, as I was sitting there in the recliner, I slid down into myself, into the seat of the recliner, so that I'm looking up through and past the seat as I shrink down into nothingness. Um, that's kind of what that felt like. And so what we were told by the doctor and the nurses there were, be aware that just because you're not sensing any sort of perceived work on oneself, um, that the medicine is absolutely doing what it needs to do in the background,
right.
no matter what your perception is of the experience. The medicine is working, right? Unlike traditional psychedelics, where they can be suggestion driven based on intent and focus, and it can drive the experience. Ketamine is the opposite. It doesn't drive the experience because you you disconnect from it and yourself, if that makes any sense. A little different.
Now, after the fact, you did say you were telling me that you had a bit of difficulty because you had to go and make the drive back to the
Well,
East
look,
Coast.
so it was a challenge. Yeah, it's absolutely a
3 hour
challenge.
drive.
So there was yeah, it was 3 hours coming back because there was an accident on Alligator Alley. So we had to go
No.
around on 41, go south,
Mhm.
down towards Miami. It was a challenge. So we went in at noon, and when we were done with the journey, we made our way out onto this giant couch, and on the couch, we crawled up on the couch and we laid there so that the effects could, wear off. Um, Essentially, we didn't get off that couch until 5 o'clock, right? And had to take Dramamine. I did, at least. Brandy didn't. I had to take Dramamine to help me get rid of that,
Yeah.
ocean liner kind of wearing roller skates on the deck kind of
Mhm.
experience. Um, I think next time I'll take Dramamine in advance and then afterwards, because I think, as I understand it, your smallest dose of intramuscular ketamine, it's a shot that they give you. The smallest dose is the first one. The largest dose is the last one. Your doses get bigger as you go. So it's
Uh-huh.
but your body gets accustomed to it. It's a different kind of a therapeutic journey. I really am looking forward to the seeing the outcome. This is
Right.
6 treatments. So every Friday so we went this past Friday, so we've got 5 more Fridays. Every
Mhm.
Friday at noon, we'll be getting a big shot in the arm.
And when you're doing this, you're
Yeah.
completely motionless. You're relaxed. You're not feeling like you're having to,
No, no,
fuss around in the chair. It's
no,
just your
you
mind,
can't.
just your
Yeah,
brain is going boom, boom,
yep,
boom, boom.
just your mind. You're sitting in the chair. In fact, there's cameras in the room so that
Yeah,
the nursing staff can monitor you. They're not in the room because energetically, they want to give you as much space for you
right.
to do the work and do what you need to do.
Hmm.
And so I think they do a really good job over there. We're at the very beginning of this. So far, I'm very impressed
Well,
with.
they're helping people. They know that what's coming off of this, whatever kind of stress, whatever kind of anxiety, whatever kind of
Yep,
afflictions they're having,
yep,
they see the effects it's having,
yeah,
and everybody coming in is getting results.
yeah. Well, that's the thing is one of the nurses there was saying um, there was I can't remember what it was that she was doing, and it was something that she didn't even deem as something habitual to her. And after her treatment session, she just stopped altogether. I can't remember what it was, but so it is just it's something that whether or not it's like Brandy likes to smoke cigarettes, right? We all have the things in our life that we do that we perceive as it gives us control in our life.
Yeah.
This removes the desire or the need for that control. And so, whatever desire that was there before for whatever it was just kind of vanishes, goes away.
So there's a few things we got to wrap up. We got 2 minutes left. So let's go ahead and first of all, let's talk about what we got coming up for 420. I don't think we've
Well,
had a
that's good.
chance to say much about it, but let's do that.
420, you want to go to thebudbash.com. That's where you're going to find tickets. We've got 7, 8 bands that are going to be playing. This is 420 festival style in South Florida. We've done the Bud Bash all over the country. Last time we did it was in San Jose, California. This time we're going to be doing it specifically for 420 and a celebration of the plant here in South Florida. So if you want to get tickets, yes, the 420 celebration is on 420, April 20th. I have been asked so many times, George, how many, what day is the 420 celebration on?
Oh
We're
my
like, it's
God.
on 420, right? The
Wow.
stock answer has been, you must be the person that goes on a cruise and asks what time's the midnight buffet.
But the thing is, okay, this weekend we're actually getting St. Patrick's Day. And
Yes.
really what's happening with 420 is it's becoming to be a holiday, which is a celebratory, fun holiday. You go out, and it's not so much one of those. It's not where St. Patty's Day might be day drinking. You're day tripping on
Your day
420.
smoking.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be at Lalo's on April the 20th. It starts at 4 o'clock. We're going to go until midnight. So get your tickets now. Thebudbash.com. Go check it out. Get tickets. If you want to be a vendor, you want to sponsor, there's a link on the page, upper right corner. Click that. Vendors, sponsors. Check it out.
I can't wait. They got a great stage up there. They got great food, by the way. If you want to make mention of it, it's a good restaurant. So
Yeah.
we'll give you more details on upcoming episodes.
There we go. That's right. More details on upcoming episodes. We'll circle back to that next week. We know you love Cannabis Radio. Go tune in, share with a friend. Stay with us. We'll see you next week, guys. Make sure you get your tickets for the Bud Bash. And we'll be back next week with more stories about my self wellness, our ketamine journey. See you later, guys.